a conversation with an industrialist on sustaining a good business environment. What does the 4-month stability of the Ghana cedi mean to the business or to businesses here in Ghana, amidst calls by GUTA to its members to reduce prices? And how do we ensure investor confidence, which is critically needed in our quest for economic growth? These and many more pertinent issues of national interest coming up in a bit with our guest, Dr. Prince Kofi Kludjeson. He's a former president for AGI. AGI is Association of Ghana Industries, and he's the CEO, Celtel Networks Limited. He comes with a rich background of knowledge and wisdom in the industry and everything we need to. And I'm looking forward to learning from him and understanding what the climate is right now for businesses and industry. So Benjamin and I are here to steer the conversations for you. And our guests, we've sandwiched our guest, and I'm introducing him to you now. Welcome, Mr. Kludjeson. Dr. Kludjeson, I'm sorry. Benjamin.
Thank you, Ben. How are you?
It's been a while since we had you.
Yes.
And always when we have you, it's pretty interesting because we delve into the business sector and matters related. But even before we kickstart matters, we just had that conversation, Sweetie anchored it, with Irchad Razali, the EU ambassador to Ghana. It's all about that forum, business forum. What do you think about the partnership between the European Union and Africa and how things are going? Interestingly, I saw some people up in arms about the AU summit that we're having now and how the EU has representation there. But when the EU is doing something, we don't have representation. What do you think about all of that?
All these issues, I think it's an old mindset, of where Africa came from, where we are, where we must be. How come when there is AU conference, the EU is there? How come when there's EU conference, the AU is not there? I mean, there is a question, and, who is AU, who is EU? It's a conference, so we must be there, and why we must not be there, we need to investigate it and make sure that we are there. Africa has moved from those mindsets or mentalities. We need to have what we call positive mentality right now and make sure that we are there. Either way, we must be there. Otherwise, we'll be losing out, because what they are saying, we have them. The only reason why they are here is what we have, not the politics, but what we have as people, the value that we have, the value that we possess. That's why they are here. So we must also, we also go there, because the value that we think we get and bring back. So I think that we must be there. I mean, to be very simple, we should be at their place.
All right. Well, let's come back to Ghana from the EU and everything happening. When you look at this new leadership under the National Democratic Congress, in these first few months, they gave themselves the 120-day social contract, including talk about a 24-hour economy. But how far has this administration come for business? Inflation, exchange rate, some of these composites. What have you seen so far?
I'm not a student of politics. I'm a student of administration, as you just mentioned. So I do not like to talk about NDC or NPP. Once the government is won, as you said, it's administration. Let's focus from there. I think so far, so very, very good. All the dynamics, are coming out, very well, for business and also for society. We in business, we do this to make sure that society is satisfied. So the issues that are going on are very, very positive, and I hope that they'll fast track, whatever they are doing. Because you see, we are almost in June. My major issue is that while these things are being done, social issues are being done, 6 months are almost passed. But the strategic decision that must be taken must also be taken very fast, because budget has been read, budget is moving. Very sort of in medium budget. So far, it's been very, very good, and I only hope and pray that they stay focused without, moving, astray. So far, it's been very good. The cedi to the dollar is very surprising. Many people, which can be done, which is something that we must do a long time ago. I think also the discipline of the appointees, so far is very good, which doesn't used to be there before. They are focused on trying to achieve the mandate of the president, who's been out and came back. try to ensure that the last, period that he has, everything's back to focus, and then we can move on from there. So I can say very positive.
Often we say industrial growth thrives on stable policy direction. Would it be an accurate statement to say that the progress you just said we are making is because of the policy direction of this administration, politics aside?
Yes. You see, everywhere in the world, if you look at what is happening around, just take, I don't know, Burkina Faso and all that is going on. What is happening? Just a policy. I want to do this. This must be done. It might be done this way. Carry people along, not it is me. You achieve results. You see, all over. When you travel all over the world, all the people who are... You see, another major issue, which I'm very, very happy about this government, is the youthful exuberance of the government. The youthful exuberance, which didn't used to be there before. We were young when... Anytime I come to this studio, I always make those comments. This studio, this company was formed by a young man. Today it is here. So the confidence level that the government is placing on the young people or our children, let me put it that way, I'm very, very proud of it. And I hope they stay focused. And also the young people who are beginning the opportunity must also realize that it's a major opportunity given them. They must not abuse it. They must focus so that we can move in. And those of us who are at this age must also stay behind them and making sure that we guide them so that they can achieve results. So that after this administration, all the administration will have no choice than to continue, where this administration will leave off. So yes, it is very positive, and I think that the youthful environment is very, very good. Not only the youthful environment, from the various sectors, they're picking everybody, if you will, from the streets, have confidence, go and try it, go and fix it. From nowhere, people are going there, and all of a sudden they're all already positive, fixing it. So I think that is what I think must be. Ghana must move on the young people and making sure that, the future is handled by the young, like other countries. Is
that something you missed during the Estwal administration?
Oh, yes. You see, the last administration, they are friends, but the focus and direction was not Ghanaian. Let me put it
was
that
not
way.
Ghanaian?
No.
What was the focus of that?
The focus is something else. You see, it's not Ghanaian, because Ghanaian, we are young people, from birth of this country. The young people, we the young people created the foundation of government in this country, especially from the private sector. I can tell you, see, all this country, all that has happened, I don't see any government sector that did anything. We, the young private sector, fought very hard, after the revolution, and make sure that things are done, brought policies. Telecom brought telecom policy, Constitution brought, video policies, radio, it's all young people.
Right.
You see, so, and that got lost, got lost and all kinds of things, and then, lack of jobs were created and so many things. But now that, government has realized that, look, let's go back to where we left or where we must be, you realize that they are starting well, you see, because, if you go to the universities, you see the minister will tell you there are 500,000, sweetie universities. Where are they going?
Yeah.
Where the government employment? They can only be created in the private sector. Or their own, mission that gave me this and I'll deliver. So I believe that they are doing very well. But please, they should also not make sure that they abuse the trust that government has put in them. And the media, have a lot to do to educate them, to help them as well. I think it's good.
Ben will come back in, but you also mentioned the CD stability. You're an industry expert, so I want to hear from you. Is this real, and how is it affecting local industries?
You see, I've listened to everything, and I'm so excited. But the only one thing that I'm very happy about is the Minister of Finance. He said that it's not a one-day wonder. It is sustainable. If it is so, then we are succeeding already.
If it is so, you're also using a conditional clause.
Yeah, because he said, people say, is it a 9-day wonder?
Yeah.
But he says, no, it's sustainable forever. So you should focus on sustainability. Why am I saying so? You see, all these debts that we have, in Ghana, it's all because of dollar to city. IMF, this, that, but if you start converting right now, the debts are coming down.
True. Yeah.
You see, and now major issue about this country is equity, and policies or positive policies. If you do that, everything changes. You see, now for all of Gota is now asking his people, reduce prices, which they used to be more in aggressive mode. But now the policy has changed as well. So it's a very good policy. And I hope that it's sustained. It should not be one day wonder.
Okay.
Because if it's one day wonder, we'll get back very hard at them, and they cannot breathe.
Ghanaians are very wild now.
Yeah, we cannot breathe.
How much faith do you have in that sustainability? Because there's political rhetoric and there are the actuals on the ground. You know about the actuals, and I've given you some of the parameters: the exchange rate, inflation, the business community, electricity, water. Do you feel this can be sustained?
You see, governance is about people and your mindset. The last one we had from the Minister of Finance, was not right. The compartment of the person, I'm the one who knows it all. It hurt everything. You see, leadership is, if you look at the new minister, his comportment, going to the market, before doing all this, the feel of the people, what exactly are the issues, let me know what it is. And he got those information, and then got his economists around to be able to do this. I think that it's going to affect everything. It started already, if you go to all the meetings that I go to, everybody's trying to change their books, their thought for Ghana, their policy issues, all of a sudden the world has come out, Ghana, city, is the best in the world today. Those are positive. You see, one of the things, people do not know is that whatever happens in Ghana, we, the private sector, are the ones that accept the brand. Because there's so many people want to come and invest in Ghana. They want to come and join to do partnership. And they're hearing all this, and so they hold off. It's not about government at all. It's about the private sector, how the country will grow.
And speculation and all.
Speculation. Yeah. So therefore, when these are going on, it will continue. Even at the end of the year, of course, it can change, but let's sustain it for the longest period of time. Whatever is the indiscipline before, the indiscipline must go. Let the discipline come. Because see, when Ghana is the headquarters of the African continental trade, so Ghana should be booming. We don't need to invite anybody to come here to establish an office because the policy is there already. So people want to be in Ghana to be able to run their companies in Africa to 1.3 million, I'm told, population. So that's what must be, and it's all driven by foreign exchange. If I bring my money here, what is the ROI? Period.
Yeah.
Returns on investment.
Yeah, that's it. That's about it.
Okay.
So in respect of our natural resources, for example, we have quite a bit of them now. We are learning that iron ore is also, it's not that we are now getting to know about it. I mean, the geologists have conducted surveys decades ago. We knew. We're now trying to exploit them, lithium and all of these. Do you think it is high time we reshaped our natural resources extraction laws, especially vis-a-vis equity, local content versus those who come in and, the royalties that are paid?
You just touched my heart because I'm told I'm professor of equity. You see, look, if you look at the OT region, we actually prevented it from being taken over. We did because I'm the president of the Water Development Forum. When it would have been sold, long before. It's been there for a long time.
Indeed.
So we have to actually move in to prevent it being done. You see, look, Ghana problem is all about equity, Ben, what you said. You see, company is between 0 to 100%. That's all it is. If you go to history, all these, pastors, the bishop, the missionaries, the CFO, the private that came to Africa, it's because of private sector business. 90% natural resources. Shani Goldfield was only £250 those days. Today's days. But the lawyers, the policy makers, the government are not realizing that the issue is equity. Look, all this global business, they are doing very, very well, but I do not see why you are telling the foreigner who has a company here to grant you right to 20% of the gold. No, take 20% equity, Or if anything, we say the highway to refine from 2026, Ghana policy, Appalachian market, and other things, stop this and focus on this thing, and then find a policy that Ghana's equity laws are so far. But our major problem in the private sector in Ghana is that Ghana has no laws for equity. Our shares have no power value. That's one of the major problems that we have in this country. According to the company's code, our shares have no power value. So when people come, they go to Registrar General, they register the company, they own 100%. They go to mineral commissions or whatever it is, they get whatever they want. They go to GIPC and they go and show you land. So you own 100%.
No, but in the real structuring of, for example, the big corp, in mining, right? You do know that a lot of the time it's also based on extraction. Sometimes it takes years for them to find the exact places where we can extract some of these minerals. They make massive investments. We are not willing, we don't have the capacity, at least we pretend we don't, to go on the ground and do this and put in the work. If we did, we would have 100% equity. But since we don't and we bring in some of these entities from abroad, when they come, they say, they strike deals with us that we're going to expend so much. And so when it comes to extracting the resources and benefiting from it, you're only getting 5%, 10%, and the rest. Is that not the truth? Is it not
very, very, very wrong. Very, very wrong. You know, all over the world, the country owns everything. So if you're interested in my country, you want to come invest in my company, you know, my equity might be so much. The risk that you carry is borne by me. And all of them must be equity laws. Then in South Africa, 30% black empowerment. You know, Cyril Ramaphosa, you know, move out of politics. They went to Singapore to learn their policy. They established it. The U.S. to get the next same 85%. All the Trump that is doing everything in America has nothing to do with he's bringing equity back to the United States of America. It's ours. You see, do you know most of those who come and do the investment, they do what we call consortium financing in Ghana. Most of the money is raised in Ghana here. From the Ghanaian banks, so what we call consortium financing. They don't bring any money, you know, to do anything. You see, we're here when, you know, Talo was established. I was president of AGA. We're here when Cosmos came to Ghana. They didn't bring any money, you know. You see, so these issues, sometimes we are very, very serious, especially me. I'm very, very keen to that, to drive it, that now let us be bold enough to say that we are passing laws for equity. We can negotiate, you know, you can negotiate it. Because if you don't do that and time has passed again, who comes here? You know, it's me and you.
You negotiate with your bargaining chips.
We have a lot of bargaining chips.
Depends on what you're bringing to the table.
We have a lot on the table.
So why are we still getting these royalties, pittances?
That is why, because what does Traore that from 0 to 100? What are the Sahel? You know, I mean, Niger was $20. Now they got $200 for their gold. Kill me if you want. The thing is, that is the policy of business.
It's lithium.
You see, you just forget about thing. It's ours. Our policy is that we'll do 35% or 50%. Let them negotiate it down. You see, look, GNPC, all this railway business we're just seeing, how can a railway be like that? You know, they have not been paid 7 months. Right. You see, if you look at, this OT business, they are going to be listening, the geologists, the this, that. But I'm looking at the lawyers who say, look, this is the policy where it's going to go. You see, no. I think, look, if you go to southern area there are a lot of lithium all over the place. Both areas are a lot. You look at all these tidal waves and whatever they are talking about. Sometimes I sit down and say, what is going on? Look, man, it's not a tidal wave. It's a huge economic enclave. Huge economic enclave like Bahamas. We've been there, you know, the sun, the sea, whatever it is. Let's go for economic enclave. Don't buy rocks and put in the sea and you think that, you know, whatever thing how we stop it. No. You know, it's all about equity. And people want to do it. People want to do that. So let us make sure that we let this government know, please, let's go for equity. Do it if it does not work, that we know that it does not work. Forget about the pittance. Look, man, we are rich. We are very, very rich. This country is a very, very rich country. Even the knowledge base of this country. Yeah. The knowledge base of this country.
The former president said, it's Sikaso, so But you see, listening to you, it sounds as if we are actually making some gains. But we need some structural, systemic transformation to sustain those gains. And when you talk about sustainable development, it's about structures, systems, so that you don't go back and forth and you don't know what you're doing. Which brings me to my question, in terms of moving from consumption-based economy to production-based. I saw you reference Traore and what they're doing to refine whatever they're doing, their tomatoes, gold, and all that. Do you think realistically, in the next decade or so, Ghana can achieve that, where we move, if not completely, shift a bit from consumption-based economy, and then maybe all this conversation about equity and the pittances that remain in the economy and all that, do you see that happening, realistically?
You see, leaders in the world that do things, and I can tell you, if our President John Mahama decided to fix it, I told him at the Economic Forum, that he has 2 years, you know, to let us fix these policies. And then the other ones will go on. Look, in that room that day in the Economic Forum, I saw young Ghanaians. The CEO of Stanchart, it's a Ghanaian lady.
Yeah.
The Stock Exchange, Abanamwa, EcoBank. These three young children of ours are more than enough to transform this economy.
At the Commodity Exchange.
Commodity Exchange,
well, yeah.
yes. They were all there, they're the friends. Then the IFC lady was there. After I spoke, referring to them, then the IFC now spoke, I'm the one who fixed Vietnam. I think I'm right, it can be done. Okay. It doesn't take anything. You understand? I set up the Stock Exchange. I led it. We created it. How many Ghanaian companies are there? You see, let's listen to our children, our young. Let us help us to move to the next level. You understand? Because see, if you don't do that, you know, all this, it's all about equity. Nobody can say anything. You go to AGI, I'm called Mr. Equity. When I was AGI president, we push this thing. The closer we go was the local content. Those days, we push to Parliament and about 30% equity laws in Ghana. Someone on the line, it got changed to local content. You know what happened to local content? Total and others start hiring Ghanaians abroad, and bringing them to Ghana to create the local content laws, to be able to fill it. So we lost that. Now, after 2 years, they go away. You see, forget about whatever we are doing. Ben, let us copy. If we want copy Traore, what is that his name? Traore, what have they done? Let's just do it from 2025, 2026, 2027, I don't care. So between that 27, we see what will happen. Look, if you go to the Office of African Continental Trade, you don't see Ghanaian businessmen there, Ben. Foreigners are flying there every day, getting papers signed, getting documents done, and then it is registered under African Continental Trade. Look, if one day you take a vehicle from here to Kumasi, on the road, you see a lot of these Burkina Faso trucks from our port here. A lot of them. Fully loaded trucks, machinery, whatever, on a daily basis, as we're spending on the road, from our port here. Our port here, the MPS here, whatever regiment is there, but who is gaining? You say, look, please, let us focus for the next 1 year. Let the professors, let the policymakers do that. Ghana will turn around in no time. Just look at the issue of the current foreign exchange. I'm talking to govt president the other day. We said that govt many years ago from AGI when I was president. We brought them. Today they're almost 7-8 million traders. And the reason for govt set up at that time was that they have the cash. So let us use the cash, then they can move it to factories, so that we don't have to be importing. But as it grew, they rather grew into trading. Now what the dollar thinker, they are now rethinking now, So these are all little policies, which are local policies. Another problem in the universities of Ghana, you see, our universities are too focused also on academic and degrees.
And that's a problem.
It's a big problem, You see, they're not focused on what must be. People go to Harvard, MIT, whatever it is, and then they come up, and things happen where you meet other private sector people. Another problem in Ghana, in the university in the US, you start internship from second year.
Yeah.
Or Britain, from the company, so you start learning. So by the time you finish, it's difficult. Look at the Minister of, look at that, 1 million coders to be trained, man. Do you know what that means? That's a multi-billion-dollar opportunity. But why are you going to train them?
But all these things you talk of, is it not also because, I agree with you to a certain extent, our education may be a little half-baked. We are more literal than practical. And that also has its own downsides. I've always said that if you go to other jurisdictions, Germany, Switzerland, France, they have in France, for example, they are the Polytechnique, which in fact some of the best, training you can get. You get it at some of these institutions, but we focus on
academic,
what you can put in your head and all of that. I'm not saying it's totally that.
No, it's not wrong.
But the hands-on approach and possibilities of interning, building on your knowledge, hands-on skills, they are problematic. But speaking of which, what can be done about that? This is how our colonial setup up to now has been. Can it be changed? Can it be reversed?
You see, when you talk about colonial issues, then what is colonial? Ben, from the time you are born to today, do you know you've ever been here? Whatever brought you here is your own driving force and spirit to be here. So I don't want to worry too much about colonialism or whatever it is. It's far gone. You know, there's not like colonialism anymore. We must be very positive. You see, I'm a college student of college of graduate of positive mental attitude and negative mental attitude. If you want to say negative, say negative. You know, I don't stay there. You know, I want to be positive because that's what must happen. You see,
but they also say that you can't move into the future unless you
need to move forward.
You build on your past.
Yes, the past is the foundation. You know, so I come from wherever I'm here. I tell everybody that whatever I am, you know, those days. I tell some stories sometimes. Well, shouldn't story. You know, I lost my father when I was 11 years old. The day I was going to high school, secondary school, I couldn't go. Here I am. If I want to stay negative, I would have been there. Yeah. You see, so most of these issues must be more. I go around the whole school, the whole system, talking to people, children, education, and what I hear, what I get, you know, it's amazing. You know, the talent base. Sometimes just give me a small tablet, you know, to children which I donate. It's a whole different story, you know, for them. You know, they can learn. Only yesterday, I was so happy I heard Kabonu, the Nagrat, you know, heard.
Angel Kabonu.
Say they should not change the law. You know, children in high school, they cannot even have a phone. They cannot even have a smartphone.
He says they should regulate rather than, because
they don't have
they have them anyway.
But they have them, you know, anyway. But the law says they must not have them. 1.5 million children of knowledge base where you can learn, where you can do all kinds of things. The law says they must not have, you know. I did a program in West Cape some time ago. Then the lady who was in charge of that policy said that my children in Texas, you know, are doing well because of tech and so and so and so. Then the principal upstairs in Cape Coast, you know, University raised my hand. Madam, I said that in Ghana here, our children cannot do so. Then it's, oh, Dr. Kludjeson will handle that question, I cannot handle it. You see, there are few little things that are dragging us behind, you know. And all of a sudden, from nowhere, Minister of Education is on the ball. Cyber security and this and that and that and that. And that. You know, it's bigger than gold and diamond and all the natural resources.
Yeah.
This sector is much bigger, you know.
So would you say we need a total overhaul of our education system?
We need a total
overhaul. We inherited what the colonizers gave us, and so as far as we are still using what they gave us, we are still thinking the way they want us to think.
You see, I chaired the education, you know, conference, finance in Who. Huge conference of brains, you know, Ben, in Who at the Serene Hotel. What I found out, the challenges there, and they are knowledgeable, you know, but they are regulated. One of the things was that we mentioned there, one of the vice chancellor was complaining that the school is about 2,500 cities, but hostel fees are 6,500. So the students all leave your village to go to the universities, they pay the 2,500 cities, but they have to pay 6,500 cities. Two, and I said, how come you cannot do so? So we are regulated by Parliament. And I said, well, but the parliamentarians come from the universities. Can't you lobby them to be able to do whatever? I said, well, it's not as easy as that. You know, I said, why not? Then one of the parliamentarians said, well, they don't even draw attention to this factual that you're bringing out. You see, when you go down to the basics, you find all the answers and the reason why not. You see, Ghana today, let me tell you, some of the one I listen to this called minority, majority, it shouldn't be there. They are young, brilliant guys there. Let's get them around to focus on policies and legal things that are needed for Ghana to move forward. Let's do that first. As for being president tomorrow, it's only one of them that can be. That
actually sounds more idealistic than real. Because, I mean, I cannot say deep in polarization right now in our parliament, but it's coming. We are nearing there. I don't see a time where we can do away with minority, majority and come together.
What is minority? What is majority? You know, they lobby among themselves.
They
when
do.
They have to share money.
Yeah.
You know, when they have to share money. We know them. They are friends. They are children.
So careful you don't get someone before,
I'm not.
For any committee.
I know them and everybody.
The religious committee might.
It just takes. I think the reset to me is enough. Let's move to reform and transform. You know, because the reset has been done. It's good, you know, but let's move to, you know. See, you know, when you hear all these people, minority, one of them, you know, when they speak and do all the things, then behind the scenes, if it's me personally, I wouldn't have said that.
Yeah.
They say that all the time. But let's stay on the bit about tech savviness. Because that's where the world is. AI and everything has come to dominate. Celtel Networks, is Celtel Networks what I have known from the early 2000s, or is it something different? Before we get to Awudome Senior High School.
You heard about that too. You see, Celtel Network, we were very quiet. You see, Celtel Network, we suffered about these equity issues in Ghana here. You know, those days.
I just want some clarity though. Do you remember in the early 2000s?
Oh yeah.
Is it the same?
Yeah. It's the same.
It is.
It's the same.
I remember there was an office around Pig Farm.
Yeah,
I remember the Maestro Plaza.
Yeah, but we moved
on the other end.
We moved on from CDMB Voice.
Okay.
You know, but we are quite big now, major in other areas, in smart cities, which we've been announcing about some 3-4 years now. The goal is to be able to, all the things we're talking about, how do you transform the continent or the country to smart knowledge, you know, and smart networks, you know, and we'll be very successful about it. Quietly, you know, but we're doing very well. You know, one of the major things we are doing is, you know, if I tell you that we are partnering with all the churches in Ghana to transform the church to digital churches, so that after God business at 2 o'clock, the youth take over and then learn.
Wow.
Now all the churches are collecting momo and stuff, so more digital, more money.
Not even that. I said,
I'm just,
you know, let me celebrate.
Dr. Baumia.
No. You see, Baumia was just misconstrued. You know that my brother was just misconstrued, and those who were around. Those who were around him. He meant well, you know. But we just misconstrued. You see, digitalization, all this issue, it's not that. You know, it is not that. You see, if you look at one of the things that delivered the blood, you know, that blood thing was a startup they met in LA, or I think Silicon Valley, who came and then do whatever he wanted to do. And he did. You see, it's not digitalization.
Right.
Digitalization, you see, when you come to your place, you see all this equipment here, I don't know how you guys do it. You see, so yes, the issues about Celtel Networks, which we are doing right now, we decided, you know, maybe people should stay home. But it's also a blessing if you look at Warren Buffett and all of them, whatever you are blessed with. So what we are focusing on, you see, when you look at all the telcos today, Ben, we created them in the 90s. You know, MTN is 1994 network. You know, 80, Millicom, and also now it's even Teracel. I created Teracel as a company, you know, in Senegal those days, because when we were doing the Celtel network, the goal was to use Celtel as an African footprint from AT&T, which I brought, you know, to transform it. So when you go to Senegal, we didn't get Telcel, but that company was also sold to the French guys, you know, and then they are back again to acquire Vodafone or whatever the arrangements are. But the networks at Vodafone is still Ghana Telecom network. You know, you can hear Vodafone Telecom, but the network there is even preceded the 1994 one, which is the newest one. So all of them, about 80% voice in the networks. You see, it's not on. So now when people come here, it's very difficult. Now you cannot. And now then MTN, they move to Momo. Momo is about, I don't know, maybe about 50% of their revenue base.
It generates a lot.
Yeah, it generates a lot. So the data itself and the network, you know, it's also lower. So I hear they're even selling out the Momo. So it means that, you know, more investment has to go. So what Celtel is doing basically is really to solve our major focus on education, you know, right now.
And let's situate it there just briefly so that we can get, there's Awudome SHS.
Okay,
what you've been doing there.
Okay.
Wi-Fi. How does all of that feed into the smart cities concept?
Okay, it was not that also problem. You know, what happened was that thinking out of the box, there was a conference in, one day in Bonsu, you know, major conference or education conference. So when the vice president, everybody was there. So I spoke about these issues. How do we get the children empowered? How do we not do it? How do we change all these issues, you know, and then become more positive in education, you know, and empower our children, you know, more or devices, connectivity, and then they can do teaching and learning from wherever they are. They don't need to, and how the online training is becoming a very major thing all over the world. India, you know, China and all of them. So it became a very major, you know, discussion. So Professor Drew, who, you know, was there, and then he approached me to learn from University of Winneba, you know, and also then there was a group there called the PTA, you know, the PTA. So they approached me there.
Parent Teachers Association.
Parent Teachers, yeah. And then a NACOG private school, they wanted to more elaborate what can be done. So they should leave government alone. Let's see how we can empower them to be able to do it. So we began the journey, and how can we do? So as we see, we did about 30 schools privately. Nobody even knows about it. To Akotia Technical School, Udome, we did, in Pusiga, Enchi, for University of Winneba, quietly, to test, whatever should be done. So what we found out, I see these children, there are 1.5 million of them in the SHS. 1.5 million.
How many of those are you targeting, and what's the goal?
We are targeting all of them. So
all of them? All 1.5 million?
All 1.5 million. So the PTA came and approached me, so what can we do? And they brought TTEL, some NGO, who they'll be buying tablets, but it's not working. So we went to look for the tablet. You see, today, all these devices are all for education, or what we call teaching and learning. You see, so most of them, you can be anywhere, but the key must be connectivity or Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
At a certain standard. Wi-Fi 6, not just only. Now, another thing is very expensive. What do you do? So we got the journey. So finally, we came up with a policy that if the PTA will agree, we'll partner with them to we'll provide internet and Wi-Fi to all the schools in Ghana, at a certain, arrangement, which is done in India and others. So they did a lot of consultants, so we finally agreed, and it's happening, So they've decided that they will launch this in Audun, because that day, apparently, the parliamentary subcommittee on education was waiting vote origin. So we're doing Hoteka University, we did University of Winneba, about 49 locations, and also the church, we did the Cedar Mountain, we are beginning Cedar Mountain, we did the Assemblies of God in Adenta, so that we create, which is part of our smart, church approach. Smart city basically is a policy, of the world today that in La Volta, you have 275 districts. Now, major issue have is that there's no connectivity in Afram Plains, in Havre, it's all these areas. But when you take the municipality and you connect, and then you put all of them together, the whole country is connected. Knowledge base remains there, So we began this journey, and the last 2-3 years before even this government came. But the PTA, not government, but all the approval that we never have it. So the PTA, Ghana Institute of Private Schools, NACOPS are championing. Now NASIA just come up. I didn't know there are almost about 100,000 private schools in Ghana, Ben. All of them. They pay 10,000 and made a lot of money in go to school. But when you go there, there are no devices, there are no Wi-Fi. But this project says that every child in school must have Wi-Fi at home. Every child, they must be not denied. Yeah. So we have another project for smart televisions.
So this is all private?
All private.
Without the intervention or any sort of association with government?
No, all private.
Okay.
All the private. So all of them, can you believe all the banks have not joined in, to provide, what they call, they brought high purchase, so we don't want high purchase. We want the subscription. So if you give to Ben for 3 years, 250 or 300 a month, it's done. You have everything. When you're here, you carry it. You see, until today, most of the traffic on the streets of Ghana is from that problem. The analysis has shown by Essential that the reason for the traffic is that most people are running to the office to turn on the computer to work because they don't have connectivity at home. And that one is that just a consultant here from the US. They went to all the schools when they are closing, Morning Star, when my children were school. But the cars that go to pick those children, are very, very expensive, like Benz, very, very. I love a car.
Yeah.
Then you have a question: how can you say that Ghanaian children or Ghanaian parents are poor? Let's begin. Yeah. So today we have NGOs, many, funding companies who are trying to, this is a very, one of the, do you know what happened in this? After these devices, it was a wild thing, in Audome the other day. And I think the guy to the right is one, Mr. Chu, he's the leader who championed this. They did very, very, very well. And the students were very disciplined, and they have the knowledge already. Oh, no.
They just need that little push.
That little push, we are doing the same thing in Kenya right now. We are doing Rwanda and also, Nigeria in July.
There's a girl, there's a story we read in the newspaper yesterday and today about a 15-year-old girl whose father defiled her and got her pregnant. And in Tokon or Toje, one of those places. And I just want to see how this sits with you. Because often it's because these children don't have any other source of entertainment, so they're just in the house. Since I heard the story yesterday, I've been asking a lot of questions about it. First of all, what do you make of it, and how do we bring situations like these to an end? And then we can talk of leadership of the country as a whole, and we can wrap up.
You see, sweetie, when you travel, I was in China 3 months ago. Then I was taken aback. No, China, I've been there 15 years ago. China has changed what you said, TVET, knowledge, everything is. There's no time for that child in that village to do that. You grow up in the villages. If these new policies have done, you see, one of the things we are doing is to also partner with the local government, the municipalities, you know, so that these things can be achieved. You see, this thing, the defilement, all of them, something it saddens me. You know, another one, so 8-year-old, you know, it's been defiled. You know, so I think the key for me, all over the place that I've seen, is must be technology. Technology. Yes. How? Let us. You see, when you do technologies and the cameras and all of that under the smart, you know, approach, these things will start being minimizing. Is it? You know, one of the major things technology is smart agriculture. You know that. Yes. You know, you meet people who have about 2,000-3,000 acres, 7 employees. They press their phone. You know, there's irrigation. They press their phone. They do this, and also the system of agribusiness must be changed. See, agribusiness is not farming; it's markets. You know, it has nothing to do with farming. It has nothing to do with markets. You see, if you KFC and all of them, you know, all the chicken they do, you know, if you can even buy all the chicken in Ghana, they cannot even buy. They cannot even produce to satisfy even KFC in Ghana here. So the business side is for the villages. If when they can go to the fund, they can create all this market for them. Maybe to the communities. You know, your community is in Ghana. So all these that are happening in the villages, you know, especially we go around the region, we talk to kids, you know, in the Voto region, you know, and then OT region and all of them. You see, we grew up, my mother grew up in Asukoko those days when my father was not there. And so we go there trying to support the kids there. You know, sometimes when I carry these machines...
Talking about support, I have reached out. I'm saying that anyone who knows the whereabouts of this girl should reach out. So I'm putting you on the spot.
We'll do that.
Hopefully when we get in touch, we can count on you to help us.
Yeah, we can. You see, when I go around and Ben, and I carry these little devices, and you notice them, sometimes you think they don't know. Look, within 5 minutes, they know already. These children, please, let us help them. Let the policy of education change. You see, we just heard about the plan called NASIA, we are meeting them, which all the private schools. You see, look, when you go, let us take all of us our foundations, our mothers' foundations. I was listening to Apenjama King, the interview, was it 2 days ago? So he grew up in Tiame, 2 years old, 3 years old, he went to Catholic church, and this, that. Well, is that his foundation? If that's foundation, let us do more of those. Yeah. You see, like you, what's in the street, I said, wow. You see, I know Ben for a long time. So I think that, yes, you know, my heart now, which a legacy is for the youth, for the children, empowerment like this Awudome thing that we have done. It's to make sure that whatever the government can do, you know, I did it many years ago, where I trained all the students. Look, one of the biggest $200 I got in my whole life was on 2 girls, 2 ladies in New York. You know, I was in New York, I was writing for my parents, and said, oh, Mr. Kludjeson, please, want to see you. So I thought, who are you? Oh, you don't know us. Oh, we want to thank you so much for the certificate you gave us. We got a job at JP Morgan. We went to your computer school in Ghana. Wow. And they gave me $100.
Wow.
But I get a lot of those wherever I go.
But that must have been something, right? Meeting them out there. And
yesterday,
that feeling was way more than the money.
Ghana Medical Center, the new CEO is my friend, my cardiologist. But that time goes, so I want to see and say hello to him. When I came in, there are a lot of people on the street, and then an old lady stood up. And he said, oh, Dr. Kludjeson, how are you? I don't remember her. But I realized the issue, you know, and then I said, okay, what do you want? So I resourced, you know, her. Yeah. And I walked out. See, when you do good will follow you. You understand? Great. But I think if you can find a child, let me know. Please, we'll see what we can do.
So I like that you mentioned Apenyo Marking. This is my final question to you, and I'm sure Ben will come in and we'll wrap up. How would you assess the minority scrutiny of government action? I mean, it's been back-to-back scrutiny, that's the word, of every action that this new administration takes. Are we being overly dramatic with it, or is just right for our democracy?
You're a media person. You see, when they are speaking, look at their faces. Do they mean what they are reading?
I want to hear from you.
Do they mean what they are doing or they are dramatizing?
Are they?
Is it?
So this is all
if you look
drama.
at especially Apenjo working with my favorite son, he's a great guy. I met him in 1999 at Trade Fair when I was president of AGI.
Okay.
See, look, he's transforming well, but sometimes you have to play the political gimmick, But other than that, when they meet each other, they're all hugging, whatever it is. You see, it's a game of politics, so let's leave it like that. But when you look at their facial, I think that in America, there's something called horse trade. Both the government, they must find a way to, whatever we see in the face should happen. But they must find a way so that they get laws, things done very, very quickly. They must harmonize. It's not a minority or majority. I don't see those weights anywhere in the world. I don't see it in India, whatever. I don't see it. So they are leaders, But another problem I see about them, sweetie, is that they are not parliamentarians for parliament, for their areas. You see, Ben, let them focus more on development of their areas. Because I'm the one I see certain things on TV when they go do all these things, their roads or whatever it is, and what they do in parliament. They should just move forward and talk more about their. See, when you go to New York, Ben, all the so-called congressmen, they're in one room, building in Washington, and then the weekend they go to their constituencies, or their districts, where congregation is, where they work, where they focus. So they talk more of those areas. When the national policy comes, they talk about it. You see, but not like one of the things we are trying to do is to transform, Winneba to a smart university, for education. When you go there, then I told them, the professor the other day, if you go to Agona Swedru, you see what they call Sakawa, boys. I said, well, they're not Sakawa.
Boys.
They are knowledgeable people. So bring them on board, and let's give them certification, and we can move on. Like California was many years ago.
Yeah.
See, California was the biggest Galamsey area, many years ago. So Stanford Institute established Stanford when they brought the boys from to Stanford Institute. Today, Silicon Valley, a $5 trillion economy. See, so those are the issues the vision we must champion. So I don't think that they are good, they are brilliant. See, another problem that I'm really, really sorry about Ghana and Ben is we, the so-called elders. We are not helping.
How so?
Those days, look, everybody will go to Omar Bo's place in a monochrome. Before the next morning, they put you to straight who are supposed to be the elders.
Yeah.
So we'll go there. No, you cannot do it. See, today, the elders, it's all about the church, elders that will guide everybody and talk to people. You see, one of the things that very saddens me, let me say before I leave here, is the CJ's issue. This is a very nice one. Why I don't see anybody or any elderly, getting involved, only the same lawyers who are lawyers. See, we should not lose people. We should not lose, how they got there.
Oh, but I've heard some of former Chief Justice. I think I've heard Atukuba speak about Professor Michael Kwe.
For now,
so some of the elders.
So, so for now, as I'm saying, they are coming out.
Okay.
But this one has gone on from nothing to that lady. Look, it's a very young lady to be Chief Justice, Whatever the reasons, I don't know. But I was at Kaswa when all those things happened, so I can understand.
You were in Kaswa when all those
Oh, yeah, I was at the Pentecost thing when
it
happened. It's a person I know very, very well. So I think that we need to save that. Like all these are happening, Sami, Janfi, whatever it is. See, those issues are not issues.
And since you've brought that in, that was going to be my final bit, though. I want to tie it to the conversation on equity in natural resources, which you started.
Yeah.
So before we get into the issue of Sami Gyamfi, let's look at Goldbot in itself. Sami Gyamfi has been lauded for, the work he's done in putting together, leading the concept document for the Goldbot and what their gains have been so far in terms of export of gold and how much we are raking in just within the first quarter of the year. Let's talk about that. And then you can also talk about the issue he's had.
See, it's a very, very wonderful, this is why I'm so sad about what is happening. So that young man must not be demoralized. Ben, look, when you get demoralized, everything goes berserk. You say, look, from nowhere, within 3-4 months, it's a lawyer too, it's a very brilliant young lawyer, not old, 37, same age like Traore. Managed to put all that forward about committee and very positive about it, and the results are shown. You see, this is why I'm saying that must not end there. He must push also as a lawyer and introduce the equity, law into it. Because you see, if you want to continue
But
buying...
Are there not some of those aspects already in the Gold Board Act?
Not yet. They're talking about, now acquiring... I've not seen the whole law, I'm studying it. But I think that should be more priority now. He's doing very well. Because if we miss his enthusiasm, you miss his interest, and then his fast-tracking this thing, and we don't get the laws down right, which is more of equity or ownership. Even if, see, there's something we call, if you want to copy the original, I think what they can do, like Mahama is very close to, the Sahel, Yeah. They should go and look at their laws. How did they get there? And let's copy, and paste. I don't really care. So I think that is what needed to be done in the Gold Board issue. If that is done, I think that Ghana can laugh and move on, and then move on. Just like what I'm telling you. So you can go to America now and get Britain or China and get somebody to bring a partner here. You are happy that your equity as a Ghanaian is 30%. You don't need to go and raise the money. Who is done in many, many countries, India, Vietnam, or whatever it is. So the bank can now go become a big CEO, of a big corporation, in the natural resources or extraction industry or whatever. So it's very important, yes.
Right.
Well, it's been quite a conversation. Sweetie, the last thought on my mind, not a question for you, but I remember doing blunt thoughts some years back and some statistics that came forth. You speak about California, Silicon Valley and all of that. The GDP of California is higher than the GDP of the entire African continent. The entire African continent. I mean, as of last year, I think it was around 4-point-something trillion. Almost $5 trillion. And in Africa, everything put together as of 2020 was around 2.6 trillion. I've not checked for 2024, so I'm putting those statistics out there. But it just tells you about the disparities, how much we have, and we talk about the natural resources again, versus what our output is. And definitely, those must be changed. But thank you so much for joining us.
When I arrived in California, I moved from Chicago to California. Howard Hughes, Paul Getty, was too cold, so I moved to California with my family. I live in Beverly Hills. Now, you see gold, you see diamonds, and all of them. Paul Getty, Howard Hughes. And when this gentleman, Tampa, brought idea, policy about California dealing with the gold, all of them went away. Knowledge base from the young people is created the $5 trillion economy, So I think it's a good idea, another day.
From all the successes that you've chalked in all your years of experience, if you were to share a word of wisdom with this new administration, if they're watching you right now, in terms of how we can sustain the gains they've made so far, what would it be in 30 seconds, and then we are off?
You see, this government, first of all, they should leave Jamfi alone.
Okay.
Whatever it is, please, they should not do anything to moralize him. Please, we are our child, and whatever it is, we'll talk to him behind the scenes. And go. But I think that John Mahama also know his history, know his story. The chief of staff know his story. Please, the talk is a lot. They should start focusing on achieving results because of timing. See, the world, things are changing, so let them quickly do whatever they need to do, focus on them very quickly. But I see another problem, please, media, let the Ghana Bar Association, who has always been very negative in this kind of thing, this year president, come to the positives, so that we can get our laws changed. Companies could say, they are changing the constitution.
Yeah.
I met the CEO of the Ghana GIPC. Look, sweetie, it's all about laws.
Yeah.
You see, so you can change the laws quickly. That's where I am,
right.
for equity, and we can go on from there.
Thank you. So let's talk more action. And that is Dr. Prince Kofi Kludjeson, former president, AGI, and CEO, Celtel Networks Limited. Thank you so much. It's been a conversation, like Ben said.
Thank you, for Ben.
Okay.